Hello quilters, I'm Erica Botker, AccuQuilt's creativity expert. Welcome to today's show called On the Go, Trip to Houston, Part 1. Now today we're sharing footage of some of the quilt exhibits at the International Quilt Festival in Houston, Texas. Miss Pam will be joining us live from Houston soon. She'll be at the Bee Sew In booth. They're a retail partner there. But if you're there right now, make sure you stop by and say hello. We also have some fun prizes to give away, but let's get started with the first exhibit. Now, Pam was ready to go as soon as she got there, so let's check out what she arrived and what she saw when she first got there.
Hey quilters, welcome to the George R. Brown Convention Center, home of the International Quilt Festival. I'm so excited to be here to see all the great quilts, meet some amazing exhibitors. Let's check it out.
Oh my goodness, quilters. Well, that first exhibit that we saw was Celebration of Color, and what an explosion of color it certainly was. If you were watching along with me, you probably saw some shapes that you thought, hey, there's a die for that. Definitely saw some very unique shapes, but mixed in there, we saw strip dies, definitely some cube shapes like squares and half square triangles, possibly a little grandmother's fan action in there, some flower dies, some circle dies, a lot of great quilts in that exhibit. Well, like most quilters know, quilts can tell their own story, including one that shows love or honor someone else. The Celebration of Life exhibit required that entrants create a quilt that depicted how they, a family member, or a friend celebrated a loved one's wedding, birth, birthday, or memorial. Let's check them out. Oh, what amazing quilts. You know, most of them had definitely a more modern feel to them, but there were a couple that were very classic, not modern looking at all. Great mix, different techniques, different representations. Loved the last one that was the grayscale with the obituary picture with the lettering so faint in the background. Just some really cool ones. Another standout, I think, was the tie that binds, obviously made with someone's ties and using a bow tie shape. And again, we know that's in our cubes. Well, the AccuQuilt team that's there on the ground saw another exhibit focusing on color called Color Sequences and Improvisation. Now, this exhibit asked quilters to make a quilt based on Carolina Oneto's works, which focused on color, curves, improv, and let's face it, one of my least favorite parts of quilting, the math. These quilts used improvisation along with structure in the patterns and color as a creative language. So here are some of those entries. Oh, so Carolina had such a range in her quilts that were there. We definitely saw some different ones. We saw some that had similarities, but definitely represented different styles and techniques. She took that theme, really ran with it, some different techniques, but I think the one thing that probably pulled them all together is the clear colors. Very saturated clear colors, not muddy ones at all. So, and again, we're seeing those strip dies. You know, strip dies are such a valuable tool. There's a reason why they're all of your favorite dies, right? Well, after sharing all these quilts, I think it's time to give something away. We're going to give away something special because that's how we say thank you to you for registering for our shows and being a part of the AccuQuilt family. All right, today's lucky winner is going to get $100 in AccuQuilt reward points. So drum roll, please. It's Rebecca C. from Gloversville, New York. Congratulations, Rebecca. That's my mother's name, Rebecca. All right, now one thing I love when traveling is finding new quilt shops. Let's face it, don't we all? But I also love seeing all the fun quilt patterns other quilters make. Now this inspired the I Spy a Barn Quilt exhibit, which asked the quilters to take a Sunday drive and play their own game of I Spy to find inspiration for their own barn quilt. So let's play along, let's play I Spy and see what AccuQuilt dies we think these quilts could have used. Okay, I love barn quilts. So let's talk about some of the shapes that we saw. Obviously, we saw some cube shapes in there, lots of half square triangles. It's one of the nice things about barn quilts. They're just basically a block. Clearly, we saw a lot of strip die action going on, right? But we also saw some other things, like some of our great bob or block on board dies. The Tree of Life, that was fantastic. Also, I think, saw a little goose track action in there. Definitely some Drunkard's Path. Some of our bigger squares even, maybe. So there was a lot going on with those, and I just love barn quilts. And I love driving around and looking for them, too. Well, I have to admit, I am a little jealous because Pam is in Houston and she's getting to see all of these wonderful quilts up close and personal. But I am glad that she's able to share them with all of us virtually. Speaking of which, she should be available to join us right about
on
now.
our Facebook page.
Let's see, there she is, she's chatting. Stop talking and talk to me.
Hello, Miss Erica. No, we need to talk to this lady. Her name is Vicky. And Vicky bought it all yesterday. She went home with a Go Big, whole bunch of dies, 3 sizes of cubes and companion sets, and some strip dies.
And the luggage.
And the luggage, the rolling tote.
Fantastic.
I'm so excited to unpack it. I haven't unpacked it
She
yet.
can hardly wait to unpack it. I love it. Thanks for chatting with us. There you go. All right, so Vicky got it all, and we're here in the Bee Sew Indu. And we're super excited to be here. We have Barbara Harper here, and Marianne Fontana is here. And we've had such a great time, Erica, talking to so many of our customers who love our dies.
Oh, that's fantastic. I saw Barbara's head. I can tell she's busy. You've got a few people there with you, huh?
Yeah, well, we do. They have a great lot of people here in the booth. If you're in Houston, come check it out. It's in the Baby Lock Bee Sew In booth.
Okay.
Is where Barbara here is selling all of our products.
That's right. That's right. And I can see one of her dies from one of her challenge pieces right behind you, I think, right on that table. Oh, look.
And look at this. This is the North Carolina Star. You did a great job yesterday on our show showing everybody how to sew this block. But, you know, Barbara made like 28 of these in just two-tone colors.
28 just using
phenomenal.
those 2 colors. And then when she got to using color, boy, was it spectacular.
It was fabulous. So while we've been here, Justin and I are here, and a huge shout out to Justin who took all the pictures of those great quilts that you're going to see. We saw the best in show.
Yes.
And the best in show was actually paper piecing. It had, listen to this number, Erica, 567,000 pieces.
We're going to see that in just a little bit coming up on the show. So spoiler alert, don't miss it.
Spoiler alert.
Yes.
It's amazing. And the quilter who quilted it, she quilted it on her domestic machine.
That would have been like wrestling an elephant. Yeah.
Well, it weighs 33 pounds.
Yeah.
So,
yeah.
So, but while we're here, we've met with Barbara. We just did a great interview with Laura Strickland. She'll be on the show tomorrow.
Oh, good.
Lori Miller is here. We did an interview with her. So we're just having a really great time seeing all the quilters, lots of great energy here, and lots of fun people.
Okay, now this is the big question. What'd you get me? What'd you get me?
Oh, it's a secret, but I have a little something for you.
Did you? Did you?
Are you excited? I did. Yes, I'm not going to leave Houston without bringing you a present. And I might have gotten a little something for Emily as well.
Oh, well.
So, I know.
Oh.
Our live stream team. But here's what I've heard over and over and again.
What's that?
Is how much people love our Tuesday and Wednesday events, how fun it is to learn about the new dies, and what a great live stream team we have.
Well, we love bringing them to all of our quilters, I know, so much. And I know you're having a great time there getting to talk to all of them.
We're working hard. All right, what are you doing next after this? What's up next?
I'm going to be giving away some lovely Island Batik fabric, just so you know what you're missing out on getting to play with. Look, blues, purples, pinks.
So pretty.
Pretty,
so
pretty. Not one,
all right,
but 2 bundles of them. So
All right.
Two
So
great
it's two lucky
bundles.
viewers. In
That's
fact,
right.
funny story. So many people here at the show have said, I registered for the show. I'm going to watch it later on YouTube.
And
There you
interestingly
go.
enough, I'll be there too, right?
There you will.
The
There you
magic
will.
of
All
the
right.
magic of video. Well,
All right.
I know you've got 1,000 people to talk to. Any
Yes,
last
and-
words before I get to talk to you again tomorrow?
So truly, if you've never been to a quilt show, Houston is the place to come. International Quilt Festival is here. We're having a great time. So many great booths, beautiful quilts that are just stunning. And check out the Bee Sew In booth. And otherwise, Erica, I'll see you tomorrow, 12 noon
Sounds
Central Time.
good. I'm looking forward to
Thanks,
my
bye.
gifts.
Oh, yes. Bye-bye.
Bye. Oh, always good to catch up. I love how there's so many different fabrics used in quilts just like these. And since I teased Pam with them, but promised to give them away, I better do that. So Island Boutiques did send us these two amazing colorful selections. They are actually from their desert, or from Electric Desert collection. We've got two these are quarter yard cuts, and you're gonna have so much fun with them. So I better give them away though before I get too attached. The first winner of an Island Boutique fabric selection is, drum roll please. Oh, it's Marty C. from Fayetteville, Arkansas. Congratulations, Marty. Oh, I want to see what you're going to make with these. Be sure to post something. Now, the winner of the second selection of fabric is, drum roll, it's Maureen S. from Golden, Colorado. Congratulations. All right, be sure you both put up some pictures of these, tag us so that we can see what you made. And a huge thank you to Island Boutique for sponsoring today's show. We know our quilters are going to have so much fun and love using this fabric to make their next project. All right, now, we got kind of teased a little bit about some of these upcoming quilts. So recently on one of our shows, we had go-getter Emily Bailey talk about micro-piecing using the Go Butterfly Pieced 9-inch finish die. Well, there is an exhibit focusing on this technique called MicroPiecing 200K by Amy Pabst, whose quilt Copper Pennies was the main source of inspirations for quilters who entered their work into this exhibit. Now, the exhibit featured miniature quilts, keep this in mind, miniature quilts that use the traditional pineapple block on a small scale, with blocks measuring 2 inches or less, and every strip finishing at 1/8 of an inch wide or less. Over 200,000 pieces are used in each quilt, along with machine foundation paper piecing and quilting in the ditch. Now, with all of the time and effort that goes into each one of these miniature quilts, let's see how incredible Amy Pabst's quilts turned out. Oh my goodness. Now, the thing that I think it's easy to lose perspective when we're looking at them on the screen since we're not up close and personal. Like Pam said, in person, they're spectacular. So let's do this. If you're sitting where you have your quilting ruler handy, you can't see, this is my quilting ruler. Go ahead and look at how small it is to do 1/8 of an inch, okay? Look at that. How wide is that? That's like my ring band there. That's how wide the widest strips are in those pineapple dies. I can't even imagine. So spectacular. Wow. Well, as a special treat after the MicroPiecing 200K by Amy Papp's exhibit, Pam was able to chat with one of the quilters whose micro-pieced quilt won Best in Show, just like we teased you about a minute ago. Here is Pam's interview with winning quilter Angela Petrocelli.
So I'm here with Angela Petrocelli, and she won Best in Show here at Houston, which is phenomenal. Okay, so first of all, a couple of things. How long have you been a quilter?
9 years.
9 years. And is this the first quilt you've entered into a competition?
No, it's my third.
And have you won before?
Yes.
Oh, how many times?
Yeah. At this show?
Yeah, or any show.
I have 3 quilts, so this is my third.
Okay.
So my first quilt won first place, and then my second quilt won third place. And
Wow.
then this one.
Okay, so talk about this because it has 226,000 and some spares.
576.
576.
276,576.
Wow. Is it foundation paper pieced?
It's entirely foundation pieced. Yes.
Wow. And did you have a template to cut those little tiny foundation paper piecing?
No. Each one, each square of fabric I did was 1 inch by 1.5 inches, just for ease of just to slap it on and sew it.
Sure.
Yeah.
To do it. And how many hours did it take you to sew?
A little over 6,000.
6,000 hours. Okay, so what's the next thing you're working on? Because you won Best in Show, so now you have life for us.
It's going to be pieced, not this pieced, but I really enjoy piecing. So it'll be pieced and probably more quilting because I love quilting too.
And how long did it take you to quilt it?
A long time.
Long time.
Yeah, I mean not as long as piecing it,
Right,
obviously.
right.
But the quilting weighs 33 pounds.
33 pounds.
Yes, so it was a beast to quilt, and there were days where the scissors, I was actually physically with the scissors closing in on it, wanting to just tear it apart. It was so bad.
Well, I'm glad you didn't because it's phenomenal. Thanks so much for talking with us.
Oh my goodness. 276,576 pieces. Can you imagine? And over 6,000 hours. That is dedication, quilters. And her winning micro-pieced quilt, which was called Beyond Reason, is absolutely stunning. And it is stunning on the screen. Pam has assured me, because she sent me a picture of it last night, that pictures do not even begin to do it justice. Well, the next exhibit that we want to talk about is the Modern Quilt Guild Points of View from Quiltcon 2022, showcased modern quilts that have a clear focal point surrounded by the rest of the design elements in the quilt. Now, these quilts were made by members of the Modern Quilt Guild, and they were all hanging up at Quiltcon 2022 in Phoenix earlier this year. Here they are. Oh, that was a very interesting category. Okay, so it was all point of interest or point of perspective. And with some of them, you could see that point right away. Your eye immediately went with it. With some of them, there were more than one, I would say, points of focus. And maybe they were like in an individual block. Each block had its little point of focus. Now, often modern quilts are known for big, bold shapes, and we certainly saw that. I certainly would be creating or recreating some of those looks using my strip dies, wouldn't you? Probably using some circle dies, maybe Argo Feathers die even for some of those more unique shapes, some of those small circles that were in there. But again, it was all very, they varied so much, didn't they? That was a really cool exhibit. Well, even though this quilt festival is in Houston, one of the exhibits called, my French is very rusty. It's already been pointed out to me earlier. Now I'm nervous. Quilts De Legende drew its inspiration from France. Now these quilts use fat quarters copied from historic designs and plenty of small stitches. So let's check out these belle couettes, or beautiful quilts. Oh my gosh, I love having just the feel of the different quilts from a different country. Such a different feeling. We definitely saw a lot of English paper piecing in there, didn't we? But we saw some other dies too, and we saw some other block on board themes. Mariner's Compass was one that I spotted. Crazy Quilt, that's such a classic, but you know, it's interesting how these just translate all across the sea. And the classic churn dash, right? And that's something you can make with any cube. So many different quilts, such different feels, but so fascinating. Well, another quilter who stunned the judges and the audience at Quilt Festival was Sue Sherman. She won first place in thread artistry. Now, Pam had a chance to talk to Sue about her quilt and explain her process for making it. Here's what Sue had to say about making her quilt.
Quilters, we're here with Sue Sherman, and she won the first place in thread artistry. So what does that mean, thread artistry? What kind of category is that?
Well, it has to do with the aspect of quilting that we like to call thread painting. So where you're actually taking the thread and not going in a pattern or on a line, but you're using it to depict the fur of an animal or the outline of the feathers on a bird, that kind of thing.
And where did you find your inspiration for this piece? Because it's phenomenal.
Oh, thank you so much. I actually, while I was in Kenya and taking photographs on a wildlife reserve, and just take lots and lots of photographs of animals. And when you do that in the wild in particular, you get a lot of the back sides of animals because they don't really want to look at you. And after a while, I thought I had enough to do something with these backside photographs.
Sure.
But it took me a while to figure out what, but I think the animals were trying to say something.
Yeah, it's wonderful. Now, how long did it take you to create this piece?
Probably took me a month to put together the photographs and get the design right.
Okay.
About 2 months to use dyes to paint the design onto the fabric,
Right.
and maybe 3 months to do the thread painting.
Thread painting, which is phenomenal.
And this is full-time work. It's not something I'm doing in the evenings.
Right. Yeah. Wonderful. And so, have you submitted quilts to festivals before or shows before?
I have. This one was in the National Jury Show in Canada this year, and it won the Viewer's Choice.
Wonderful.
And I've had a couple of quilts. I've actually had a couple of quilts win prizes at Houston before.
Wonderful.
So it's a
Now-
great place.
So, what's your next project? Because this is phenomenal. What's next?
Well, I can't tell you in any detail,
Secret.
but I do have another quilt that I've recently finished that
Okay.
is kind of along the same lines, kind of fun, but with a bit of an environmental message. And I'm hoping that people like it as much as I do.
Now, if our viewers are interested in learning more about thread artistry, do you have a website they can go to? Or an Instagram or
I
Facebook?
do have a website. It's www.sushermanquilts.com.
Okay. Perfect. Thanks so much for taking time to meet with us.
Thank you.
How interesting to learn a little bit about that process. So think about everything that went into creating that. She said she spent a month getting the photograph and the design, 2 months with dyes and really painting the basic of the design, and then 3 months using her sewing machine and her stitches to create what you saw as a final project. Absolutely stunning. Well, as many quilters know, quilting can be a solo or a group activity. For the Quilts of the Bee Sewcial exhibit, quilters in Bee Sewcial, an international improvisational quilt bee, work together to each make an improvised quilt block based on the selected group leader's inspiration. So a theme, a palette, any restrictions or whatever. Now the group leader then used these blocks to design a full-size quilt to make a unique pattern. These quilts are so fun. Take a look. those were amazing. That's captivating to me, having a group all put their blocks together and then somebody gets the challenge of how to make a quilt out of those blocks. And there were some really fun ones. In the studio, I know the eyes one kind of caught our eye, but also I almost laughed out loud when I saw, what was it called? Bacon-rific. Okay, a quilt based on bacon. That's hysterical. All right. Well, some modern quilts might utilize a minimal color palette to produce a stunning pattern. We've seen this time and time again throughout the ages with quilting. Now, the Charleston Modern Quilt Guild challenged their members for this exhibit to make a quilt with only 2 solid fabrics, to make a quilt in any design, size, any way they would like. Let's see what they came up with. Okay, so many dies that came flipping through my head. I love that category. You know, when I first thought, okay, it's 2-color quilts, somehow I expected them all to be black and white, but there were only like 2 in that group that were black and white. There were also many different color combinations, from the Merry Grinchmas with red and green. Clearly, you could do that one with a quilt. They looked like little bow ties. The pineapple die. Okay, so there was definitely some pineapple action going on there. Cubes, lots of half square triangles, lots of basket blocks. So basket blocks can obviously be made with a cube. They're primarily, again, those half square triangles. I have to admit, I was a little partial to the baskets and peeps, which was in gray and yellow. And at first I saw the peeps and then I saw the basket blocks. Strip dies clearly played a big part in those. Some great color combinations, some kind of unexpected color combinations too, including circles. You know, we were just talking about 2-color quilts earlier this week. Our expert Barbara Harper, who we saw is working away furiously in Houston, helping everybody learn about Go. And she took our new North Carolina star and made 28 variations on that block just using black and white. So maybe that's why my mind went to black and white. So you can see, no matter what the category was that we were looking at, there were ways that you could have definitely incorporated dies into making those or recreating something, or using those as an inspiration and a jumping off point. Well, I think that it's time that we give away our final prize of the day to a second lucky winner who's going to get another $100 in AccuQuilt reward points. So let's have a drum roll. This winner is Brenda W. She's from Williams Lake, British Columbia, Canada. Congratulations. It is, after all, our International Quilt Festival. So don't forget to tune in tomorrow at 12 noon Central Time for part 2 of the on-the-go trip to Houston. If you've noticed, Emmett was exhausted now. He has been pushing the car across the set all throughout the show. Pam is going to be back. She's going to be talking with members of the quilting community, including several viewers just like you, so you won't want to miss it. All right, we need to go get ready for part 2 on the go trip to Houston. I hope that you're all as inspired as I am by the quilt exhibits that we've seen today. Oh, and you'll want to check out AccuQuilt.com/party to see all of our deals during our fall festival event. So we will see you tomorrow.
Thanks for watching our show. Be sure to follow us on Facebook and subscribe to our YouTube channel to see where we go next.
That's right. You can visit the events page on AccuQuilt's website for more details on upcoming shows. And while you're there, check out the blog for tips, tricks, tutorials, and inspiration galore.
And remember, at AccuQuilt, we help you cut time.
So you can quilt more. Sure to join Pam and I every Tuesday at 12 noon Central Time for exciting launch parties. These events are filled with tips, tricks, and inspiration. Next time, we'll be relaunching one of our former Die to Try series dies. You can follow along every Wednesday at 12 noon Central Time for AQ Live. We always have a lot of fun, and registering means that you're entered to win a fun door prize. Next time, Pam will be making one of the new patterns for that former Die to Try die that I just mentioned.